lose up to 1 billion shillings per day and lose up to 42 days annually to traffic jam. It has posed a very big security risk where vehicles carrying thousands of liters of fuel lying together with other vehicles for several hours, and we are saying that it is only by the grace of the Lord that this country has not had a terrible accident.
Minister Echelu on the traffic issue has assured MPs that within 3 months the issue will be dealt with. He says he has already directed the traffic directors to start the process of diverting traffic to roads like Katosi and Gayaza, among others.
Madam Chair, this is what we are going to do. Support ENAGO to get more capacity, which we are going to do in the next few days. And then we are going to divert vehicles from the bridge of Jinja. The heavy trucks that are coming from Mombasa will be diverted to Katosi. And we are working immediately after this meeting. I'm going to meet the leadership of the police and others. Divert the trailers to Katosi and then they come to Mukono so that we can allow, because what has been happening, Madam Chair, the road is so busy, even with the enhanced resources to ENAGO, they are unable to do the job effectively.
The committee has also requested that the Ministry of Works deals with some investors who build in road reserves because they are partly to blame for the heavy traffic as well as flooding on this road, to which the ministry has agreed to. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Uganda's labor export can at least be formally traced to the early 2000s, with contingents to Iraq and a shift in approach to domestic labor into the remaining Gulf countries such as Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and others. Last year, government suspended the bilateral labor export agreement with Saudi Arabia following the public outcry over continuous mistreatment and torture of Ugandan migrant workers. As relations resume, the annual Gulf remittance of approximately $1 billion is bound to be maintained, with a portion of over 150,000 Ugandans in Saudi Arabia.
Many Ugandans there currently, we have over 150,000 Ugandans working in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, remitting approximately 700 million annually out of the $1 billion remitted from the entire Gulf Cooperation country, meaning that Saudi Arabia contributes to a very high percentage of the remittances from the Gulf countries. The bilateral agreement now is for all the workers. However, the contract, because now this particular contract they will start issuing with the ones that will be coming from today. So from today, what we negotiated under the contract is they will start getting that standard contract today.
Since 2015, Ugandans have been flocking Saudi Arabia in search for employment, although the pursuit has been compromised lately. The new agreement offers redress, providing regulation of the transfer of employees and renewal of contracts, provisions of dispute resolution mechanisms, monitoring of employment agencies, and protection of workers' rights, among other key issues.
Renewal must be with the consent of the worker. Now, what the new bilateral agreement provides is that the employee must notify the Ugandan Recruitment Agency, the Saudi Recruitment Agency, of their desire to renew. In the past, they would do it without informing these companies, yet would continue to hold the Ugandan company accountable. Further, they would have to seek approval for renewal from the embassy 90 days from the date of expiry of their contract. And this will be done on different platforms.
As Uganda, just like the rest of Africa grapples with unemployment, government is further exploring markets in Canada, Turkey, and the UK, among other countries. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's now look at restraining corruption. According to recent data from the Inspectorate of Government, Uganda annually loses 20 trillion to corruption and about 200 shillings per person. Today, State House and Anti-Corruption Unit and the Inspectorate of Government initiated the youths to commitment against the national vice that cuts across major national sectors. Let's have a look.
Should I tell you of how I lost my dear mother and the watch of a doctor who came in late and refused to help my bleeding mother because he did not have a pair of gloves and we did not have the money to pay for his tip in what is supposed to be a public hospital. Oh, we should talk about those at the airport that got their jobs through connections and go ahead to rubbish a poor man, search for greener pastures, and to the trash can they throw their dreams of traveling abroad simply because they cannot afford a 200k bribe.
Anti-corruption agencies that include Inspectorate of Government and State House Anti-Corruption Unit have partnered with the national debate to engage young people on anti-corruption initiatives for over 3 years. The Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamya, says corruption isn't only ravaging government but also private sector, emphasizing boldly that more than 50% of people running this country are corrupt.
To rise up against corruption, that is the only way that corruption will end. So the procurement person in a national medical stores who comes from, say, Rakai, Diantonde, where I come from, they give him 10 billion shillings to go and buy medicine. He doesn't buy medicine. He goes back to Rakai and constructs a hotel and buys a VX and goes for a holiday with his company. You take your child to hospital, public hospital, there's no medicine, there's no equipment, your child or your person dies. Then your neighbor, who did not buy medicine in the hospital, comes to commiserate with you and says, I'm sorry, they give you the 500,000 to buy a coffin. And you know what we do? Oh, we thank them so much, and we put them high on the list of people to thank. This is a wonderful neighbor, and we shall never forget you in our family, what you have done, what you have done. This is the thief who stole the money for medicine, which is why your child died. Now he comes and buys for you a coffin, and you hail him.
On 7th this month, members of the Leadership Code Tribunal asked public servants to submit their declarations for income, assets and liabilities to the Inspectorate of Government, just as it was with the Speaker of Parliament. In a bid to amplify the zero corruption agenda, PPDA is collaborating with government to achieve the same among the registered public and private companies.
Expected to behave in a certain way. And through the Leadership Code Act, that is why public officers are required to declare their assets, wealth and liabilities to the Inspector General of Government, so that we follow your progress. If you declared one house this year, next year declare 3 houses. Or if you don't declare, and we know that you have it, non-declaration, false declaration, under-declaration, all those are offenses under the law, because the leader must be put on a pedestal where scrutiny is part of the job hazards once you set yourself up to be a leader.
You must have heard that even at Uganda Registration Service Bureau, now companies must declare by submitting that declaration form with a beneficiary of this. And at PPDA, also in these contracting processes, if you are bidding, every contract must declare clear who is the beneficiary. And that will help us in finding out whether the beneficiaries are government officials, especially those who are making decisions in those contracts.
Some members of parliament who are passionate about the fight and corruption crusade have expressed what exactly is at stake while tackling the vice.
Now procurement, you're procuring an ambulance in KCC at 1 billion, and we know that ambulance is a 2013 model. It is on the boat at 80 million. You have bought it at 1 billion, and you have followed all the procedures. The IGG, the Auditor General, cannot touch you because you have followed all procedures and you have beaten government at its own game. Now we want to follow you. That money you have, where have you gotten it from? And though Mzee said that some of these guys are not investing the money abroad, that they are investing it here. But when IGG, if you begin to crusade, I was in Dubai when I was hiding from Uganda for 3 months. I know most of those people I'm talking about, they have 3 years mansions in Dubai. They are the customers of Damak. They are the customers of Emar. Actually, Emar all the marketeers of Emar are in Africa than anywhere in the world because they know where the money is.
Uganda has been consistently ranked among the most corrupt countries in the world by the various indices and reports. The World Bank's Worldwide Governance Indicators for 2020 gave Uganda a score of 20.8% out of 100 for control of corruption, indicating a very high level of corruption and still remains a big challenge. Ronah, Nahabwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today. Now, Parliament has come out strong on government to look for 4 billion shillings which was allocated for seeds which are meant to be given to legislators to distribute to their constituents. Government, which first said the money isn't available, bowed to the pressure and promised to look for this money. Samla Hanifa with the details.
Yesterday, Parliament ordered the Ministry of Agriculture to come with a clear report on why it has not distributed seeds for the members of Parliament to distribute to their constituents before the rainy season ends. Today, the Minister for Agriculture, Frank Tumwebaze, told Parliament that they do not have the money because Ministry of Finance diverted it to Parish Development Model Program.
Honorable Speaker and honorable members, as you are aware, government changed the policy and is currently implementing the Parish Development Model, PDM. I request for your indulgence, Madam Speaker. I request for your protection. Accordingly, MAIF and its agencies no longer provide seed as a matter of policy and lack of funds.
The MPs stood up in protest, stating that it is unacceptable for government to shift seed funding to PDM since PDM only serves 39% of Ugandans and the remaining rely on those seeds. The urgency stems from the reality that the rains will not wait and hence necessary funding must be released.
That money was diverted to the Parish Development Model, which caters for only 39%. Is that right for us to trust production and food security and relegate that production to only 39% of the population of Uganda and think that we are going to provide food for the population and even export?
And the finance is here, right, Honorable Speaker. And we are in Parliament that is supposed to appropriate money. Our position is that we need seeds. Whether money is with the PDM, whether it's where, for us we need the seeds now. Wouldn't it be procedure right, Honorable Speaker, through your office, for us to take a decision now? We task the Minister of Finance to get money and provide the seeds now, other than taking other long routes, right, Honorable Speaker.
Speaker Among then tasked Minister Kasaija to clear the matter to Parliament, and his response was that government has no money for seeds this season.
Government did not provide for everybody seeds free of charge.
Honorable Minister, do you know how the government provided everybody? All the members of Parliament were given seeds to take to their districts. Now, when this house is a representative of everybody in Uganda, that's how they were provided for.
Then in that case, I think then the policy.
Speaker insisted that government provides this money without fail because they are not taking no for an answer.
Sometime.
Coming back, I can come back, but I cannot see an immediate solution. Because I don't want to lie here in the House.
Honorable Minister, can you get out and consult with your team and see what we can do?
Minister Kasaija eventually gave in to pressure and pledged that the government administration will hunt for this money as soon as possible.
Let us go and look for the 4 billion. Give it to the agents like NADS so that you can take seed to your constituents.
To promote high-quality organic produce during the rainy season, government has always given MPs seeds to distribute to their constituencies, but this year the situation has changed, since it's absurd to expect a country that is based on agriculture to not prioritize agriculture. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV Business Today.
Moving on how Nambole negligence puts government on sport. Sports is currently one of the dominant global employment sectors. For a long time now, the Uganda Cranes hasn't played its home games at Nambole Stadium as the facility undergoes renovation, having been in a devastating state. Government has been tasked to explain why the Cranes held its home fixture against Tanzania in Egypt, despite the 97 billion shillings having been allocated for the completion of the national stadium.
In the recent 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifier fixtures, Uganda Cranes hosted its home game against Tanzania in Egypt, despite Nambole being the national stadium. Honorable Paul Omara has today expressed disappointment over what he calls government negligence for abandoning the sports sector, despite its renowned global financial dominance expressed in professional football, such as the English Premier League.
Honorable Speaker, Uganda Cranes are currently even playing games in Egypt. We cannot host an appropriate games in this country because our stadiums are really shambolic.
The legislator was later joined by the Speaker, Anita Mong, who informed Parliament that 97 billion shillings was appropriated for the renovation of the national stadium, but no accountability has so far surfaced.
We gave out money 97 billion to Nachivuvu, to Nambole. We gave money to Nambole. We will not budget for Nambole before we know what the 97 has done. We need an accountability of the 97 billion before we put any money in the budget. Because we cannot continue budgeting. Money goes when we don't see any output.
With the national stadium stuck and major developments such as Nachivubo taking on a slow progress, sports development predicts bigger worries. Members of Parliament have informed about continuous allocations of funds for other football stadium, but the money has never been disbursed by the Ministry of Finance.
But Right Honourable Speaker, we appropriate money as a Parliament. I don't know what message government is sending us, that we will continue appropriating money, but we shall not implement. And when we get problems, it is members of Parliament that are attacked, that we are not doing our work. We are in a budget process cycle. Why should we continue to give you money when you're not putting it to use?
Part of that budget was to rebuild a stadium in Masaka Recreation. We are now going to the fourth quarter. We have struggled, we have moved everywhere in the corridors of finance. And they have not even released the shilling for that stadium. When I see our football team in Egypt, Right Honourable Speaker, you know that all players, they draw their energies from supporters. That's why we lost a match.
Uganda is one of the African countries whose sports sectors lack autonomy and still held under education. The State Minister for Sports, Honorable Peter Ogwang, has on the other hand been moved to apologize as the Cranes hosted away from home in Egypt. He assured Parliament completion of the stadium will be achieved by 1st June.
Great on behalf of government for us having not met the CAF requirements to have our game played at home. Number two, as you're all aware, government sends money to various federations in terms of the international competitions. I want to confirm government, through National Council of Sports, did send money to the Federation of Uganda Football Association to have Uganda play its game in a place which was determined by the Federation but not government. The entire total cost of the national team was catered by government of the Republic of Uganda. I regret that we did lose a game in Egypt, but I want to call upon this parliament. As of now, we need to support the national team, and I'm happy, as far as Nambole National Stadium is concerned, Madam Speaker, ever since I took over office, I found it prudent that, number one, I asked for the schedule of works which is being undertaken by the UPDF Engineering Brigade.
The Speaker has ordered the Minister to avail Parliament with a report on all country stadiums as of Tuesday next week. Joram Paul Sonko, Samla Hanifa, Business Today.
Thank you, Joram Paul Sonko and Samla Hanifa. Now, that report will usher us into a short commercial break where we will return with more. Please don't go away.